students, welcome back. Today I'm Anuradha from Ardent Progressive School, going to start another topic of the same chapter, chapter 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plant. So in this chapter we have discussed that there will be sexual reproduction, and for the sexual reproduction there are three different events, that is the pre-fertilization event, fertilization event and the post-fertilization event. Okay, so for the proper fertilization the requirement is what? To form the gametes. There must be a male gamete as well as the female gamete. So that's why in the pre-fertilization event what we'll do, we will start with the formation of gamete. So the first step is what? Under the pre-fertilization event, that is a gamete formation, and the gamete formation, it is known as the gametogenesis. Okay, in case of male it is known as male gametogenesis, in case of female it is known as the female gametogenesis. Okay, so here after that what is the requirement? These gametes should move towards the female part. Okay, it means that male gamete should move towards the female part, because plants, they are non-motile, they cannot move by themselves. So what is happening here? So the gamete which is forming in the male reproductive structure, that is a pollen grain, it is required that it should move towards the stigma of the flower. Okay, so this is known as what? Transfer of gametes. What is it? Transfer of gametes. So here how the transfer of gametes will take place? With the help of pollination. And what is pollination? Pollination is transfer of anthers or transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. Okay, so that much is there in the transfer of gametes, and there are different agents which is helping to transfer these types of gametes, and we have done two different type of agent, abiotic agent and the biotic agent. Okay, under the abiotic agents we are having the wind, water, and the biotic agents so many insects, birds, mammals. So these are the agent which is helping to the transfer of gametes. So under this part we have completed the pre-fertilization event in the earlier lecture. So today we are going to start with the pollen pistil interaction. Okay, what is the topic of today? That is a pollen pistil interaction. It means that this is the process which is going to happen just after the pollination. That's why we are saying this is the post-pollination. Okay, so what I said, that there are three events: pre-fertilization, okay, that which we have completed in the earlier lecture. Then comes to the fertilization, and this is the requirement. And for any sexual reproduction, what is happening? There must be a fertilization of male and female gamete. So here how the fertilization will take place? Again there is some process. Why? Because pollen grain will reach towards the female flower, but there also there will be some more processes which is going to happen. In this pre-fertilization event we have formed the gamete. Okay, gamete formation. Then here in the pre-fertilization event we have done the transfer of gametes. Okay, we have done transfer of gametes. So here in this fertilization events, before that what will happen? That if you can see, this is the stigma, style and ovary. Okay, for any female part this is stigma, style and ovary. So what we have done, flower can be unisexual and flower can be bisexual. If flower would be bisexual, what will happen? The pollen grains or the anthers, they are present on the same flower. I am considering here it as a unisexual flower. Okay, it means that it is having only the female reproductive structure, and from any other flower, that is a male flower. Okay, so from here what is happening? These are the anthers, and after the dehiscence of anther, what is going to happen? The pollen grain will release and it will move towards the stigma. Okay, so once it will reach into the stigma of the flower, for example this one, this is the pollen grain. Okay, and we have done that. What is the structure of pollen grain? The pollen grain having two different layers. What are they? If I will show you the pollen grain, it is having two different layers, inner one and the outer one. Okay, so the outer one layer, this outer one layer, it is known as what? It is known as the exine. It is known as exine, and there is some point where this exine is absent. Okay, so and the inner smooth surface, it is known as the intine, which we have discussed in earlier lecture. Okay, so this one is intine. So now what is the composition of exine and intine? Again, it is very important. Why? Exine is composed of what? It is composed of sporopollenin. Very important. Okay. Due to this, what will happen? These pollen grains, they are more viable. Okay. So the hardness which is present in this pollen grain, by which they can survive for a longer period of time, it is due to what? Due to this sporopollenin. Okay. And this entine is made up of what? Cellulose and pectin. So this is the composition of both exine and entine, and inner to this one, in this pollen grain, we are having two different cells. What are the two different cells? Vegetative cell as well as the generative cell. And in case of vegetative cell, it is having nucleus, and in generative cell also it is having the nucleus. Okay, so this is the structure of pollen grain. Now, if I will recall you that what is going to happen here, there will be mitotic division in this generative cell. Why it is so? Because in most of the angiosperm, it will release in which stage? It will release in the 2-cell stage. Okay. Now this is what? This is the 2-cell stage. But in some of the, or in some less plants, in less angiosperm, what is happening? It will move towards it through the higher one. Okay. How it is moving? Through the higher one. It means that it will again mitotically divide, and it will divide into 3-cell stage. Whether it is a 2-cell stage or the 3-cell stage, pollen grain will reach towards the stigma. Right? Once it will reach here, if I will draw the structure like this, this is the pollen grain. Okay. The larger part is vegetative one, and the smaller part, it is known as the generative one. And here the outer one, you can say that exine is present, and there is one point where exine is absent or the sporopollenin is absent. What you will call it? Germ pore. What is the role of germ pore? It is helping for the protrusion of the pollen tube. Okay, that's why the sporopollen is absent here in this part. So here also, as the pollen will reach here, it will get germinated. So when it will get germinated, when there will be proper interaction between pollen grain and the stigma. Right? So here you will understand that whatever the thing, whatever the event which is going to happen from this pollen germination till it will reach where? It will reach into the embryo sac or the ovule. Why? This outer part is what? This is the ovary, and inner to this ovary, what we have done, that the ovule is present. Okay, ovule is present. Then inside it, embryo sac is present. Okay, so in this embryo sac, it is the requirement that what they are having, micropylar end, where the egg cells are present. Okay, where the egg cells are present, and this is the polar nuclei, and these three are the antipodal cells. So I'm not going to discuss any more about this one here. What is it? These are the different one, and the pollen grain has to reach towards this egg cell as well as the polar nuclei for the proper fertilization. Okay, so here you will understand that how the fertilization will take place, but before that there is need that how this pollen grain will germinate it here, and how it will form its pollen tube, and how it will reach towards this embryo sac. So the whole story which is going to happen here, it is known as what? It is known as the pollen pistil introduction. Pollen is what? This is the pollen, and the whole structure, stigma, style and ovary, this is the pistil or the carpel. So how they are interacting with each other so that fertilization can take place. So we have to understand the whole theory of this one. So same thing I have written here. What is it? It is a deposition of pollen on the stigma till the entry of the pollen tube inside the ovule. Okay, once it will enter inside the ovule, it will reach towards the embryo sac, and their fertilization will take place. Okay, so here for our ease, we have classified into different steps. The first step is what? Recognition of compatible pollen. It means that whether the pollen, it is matching with the species of the same flower, yes or no, because with the help of pollination, any pollen can reach here. So whether it is receptive, whether it is of same species, or it is compatible to the stigma, then only there will be germination of pollen tube. If it will not compatible with the stigma, then what will happen? Then there will be no germination of pollen grain, and ultimately there will be no fertilization. So the first prerequisite for happening the fertilization, there must be a proper recognition. Okay, the stigma should recognize the pollen grain, whether it is of its use, yes or no. Okay, so here we have done the first step. Once the stigma has recognized this pollen grain, what will happen here? This will germinate. Okay, what will happen? This will get germinate, and here due to this germination there will be growth of the pollen tube. Okay, so due to the germination of this, I'm drawing it again here. So due to this germination of pollen grain, what will happen? There will be protrusion of pollen tube, and we know that the outer one is sporulin and inner one is made up of cellulose and pectin. Now, and the cytoplasm which is present inside this pollen grain, it will move towards this, what? Towards the pollen tube. Okay, so here what will happen? The vegetative cell and generative cell. If I will talk about the two cell stage, okay, so what will happen here? It will again the undergoes at cell division, and it will form the three cell stage here only. Okay, but if it will release or it will dehiscence at the three cell stage, so there will be no need of mitotic division here. Okay, already it will come in the form of three cell stage, right? So what is there? This is a vegetative cell, but this generative cell again divide mitotically, and it will form the gametes here. Okay, it will form the gametes. Now this one, this vegetative cell, the nuclei of the vegetative cell, it will move towards this pollen tube. So first of all, who will undergo? This vegetative nuclei will undergo this pollen tube. That's why it will become now the tube nucleus. What you will call it? Tube nucleus, right? And after that, these two male gametes, okay, these two male nuclei, it will also move towards this pollen tube. So how many nuclei they are present in this pollen tube? Three nuclei. One is of tube nucleus and two they are of the male gamete. Okay, so now what will happen? Due to the growth of this pollen tube, one by one, there will be growth of the pollen tube, okay, towards the style here. And how it is moving? Either it can move towards the digesting all the tissues which is present in this style or in this ovary. Okay, likewise it will grow this pollen tube, or what it can do, it can move through the spaces or the intercellular spaces which is present in the stigma and the ovary, right? So here what will happen? Now the pollen tube will get growth. So what is there? The second step is there will be the growth of pollen tube. Due to this growth of pollen tube, the male nuclei as well as the tube nucleus, it will move towards this pollen tube, okay, forward. Now there will be entry of pollen tube into the ovule. What will happen now? These pollen grains, okay, or these nuclei will enter towards this ovule. If I will draw the structure of the majorly ovule, we have done that anatropous ovule is there. Okay, this one is the anatropous ovule. How we have drawn this one? Like this. Okay, like this we have done. That this is the anatropous ovule, in which this part is known as what? This opening is known as the micropyle. Okay, and the end which is present towards the micropyle, it is known as the micropylar end. And the opposite to this micropylar end, what is there? Chalazal end. Okay, so same thing you can imagine it here also. This is what? This is the integuments, and inner to this integuments there is an embryo sac. Okay, where these nucleus has to reach. So these nucleus has to reach where? In this one, in this embryo sac. So how it will move towards the embryo sac? When there will be integuments. Okay, so there will be different ways to get enter inside the embryo sac. Okay, so what can be the different ways and how we have categorized the name? So on the basis of the entry of the pollen tube inside this ovule, we have categorized into three parts. What are they? Porogamy. Poro relates to pore. Okay, whenever the gametes they will move through the pore, and the name of the spore, it is known as the micropyle. Okay, micropyle is that opening. Due to this, what will happen? This pollen tube will enter towards this micropylar end. Okay, so that type of entry, it is known as the porogamy. Okay, another one is the chalezogamy. Chalezogamy relates to what? Chalezal end. When there will be entry of pollen tube, when there will be entry of pollen tube through the chalezal end. What is the chalezal end? This end. Okay, so when it is entering towards the chalezal end, still it is coming towards the micropylar end. Okay, it doesn't mean that if it is coming through the chalezal end, so it will fertilize with any other one. So whatever the situation, whether it is entering through the micropylar end or the chalezal end, it will move towards the micropylar. Why micropylar end? Because we know that at the micropylar end we are having the egg apparatus, and in this egg apparatus two are synergids and one it is the egg cell, and here there will be need to the fertilization. Why? Because egg cell will fertilize with the male nucleus. Okay, so the different ways are there, but the outcome is same. So chalezogamy is what? When the gametes, they will move towards the chalezal end. And the third one is the mesogamy. Meso means middle. If this pollen tube is growing or protruding towards any middle part, or we can say through any integuments, because there are so many integuments. Okay, two layers of integuments are there. So when this pollen tube is entering through this integuments or through this funicle, okay, so that time we will call it mesogamy. Okay, so what we are having? Porogamy, chalezogamy and the mesogamy. They are the three different ways by which there will be entry of pollen tube in the ovule. Okay, so the third step we have completed here. Now there is a need of the fusion of gametes. Okay, but here there are some more terms. There are some more terms which are important. How it is important? See here, if again I will draw this embryo sac, this is the embryo sac covered by what? Covered by the integument. Okay, and this whole ovary is there. And what we are discussing, that pollen tube, it will move towards the micropylar end. In most of the cases, the pollen tube enters through which end? Through the micropylar end. At the micropylar end, there are filiform apparatus. What is present? Filiform apparatus. And here you can see that synergids are present and one egg cell is present. Okay, at the center, two polar nuclei, and here antipodal cells are there. Okay, and here in this pollen tube, I have said that at the tip, what type of cell? Tube nucleus is there, and backwardly what is present? Two male gametes are there. Okay, now what will happen, that as the pollen grain will germinate here, what it is going to do? We know that as this stigma contains, it needs what? It contains some of the water contain, some minerals to germinate it here. Without this, it cannot germinate. So this stigma, it is providing what? It is providing water as well as calcium ions as well as the boron, and out of them boron is very important. Why? Because boron, it is helping to germinate the pollen grain and to the growth of the pollen tube. Okay, so once this pollen will absorb all the water and these minerals from the stigma, what will happen? They will get germinated, and due to this germination, whatever the cytoplasm which is present here, it will move towards this pollen tube, as well as all the nuclei which is present here, it will also move towards it. Okay, once it will reach here at the tip of the micropylar end. So now what will happen? There will be the bursting of these antipodal cells. Okay, at the meantime, what will happen? These pollen nuclei will get also fused. So what is going to happen? That there will be no fertilization with these male gamete. Okay, this is the female gamete, right? So these male gamete, they will not fuse with the female gamete first. First, what will happen? These antipodal cells, they will get degenerated. After that, what is going to happen? That these polar nuclei is composed of two nucleus, which is N and N number. Okay, due to this what will happen, there will be fusion, and what they will form, it will form the diploid. Okay, so at the center, what is the ploidy? It is a diploid, and it is known as what? It is known as the secondary nucleus. Okay, secondary body. Now what will happen then? These cytoplasm and this tube nucleus, it will move towards, and this tube nucleus will also get burst out. Okay, so there is no role of this tube nucleus. The only importance is that it is protecting the backwardly two male gametes. So now what is remaining here? Only these two male nuclei, and these two male nuclei, it will move towards where? Towards the one of the synergids. So these nuclei, it will move towards the synergids here. As it is reaching to the synergid, what will happen? These synergid will also get burst out. Okay, one of the synergid will get burst out, and after that one of the nucleus will move towards this one, towards the egg cell, and one of the nucleus, it will move towards this center part, which is known as the polar nuclei, because it is present at the center. Okay, so one nuclei, one male nucleus, it will move with this haploid one, and one will move towards this center one. Okay, so we will understand in the another topic of double fertilization how it is happening. So here what we have to understand, that how the pollen is interacting with the pistil part, and which part is going to enter inside this embryo sac. Okay, so that much we have completed in this one. Now comes to the role of this filiform apparatus. As I have said that some filiform apparatus is present here. What is the use of filiform apparatus? It means that this filiform apparatus is guiding to the pollen tube. Okay, so it is guiding the pollen tube that it has to enter towards this side. Okay, so this is the role of filiform apparatus, which is very, very important question. Now, whatever things we are doing it here, what we are doing? We are preventing the self pollination. Right, so in the last class what we have done, some outbreeding devices are there which is preventing the self pollination and promoting the cross pollination. Okay, so whether the self pollination or cross pollination, the pollen pistil interaction is same, but in case of the natural condition we have different methods. For example, protandry, protogyny, these are the different condition which is promoting the cross pollination. Okay, but if we will talk about the artificial or the man-made, so there will be an artificial hybridization. What is the artificial hybridization? In this technique, we are going to fuse the two parent which are of the different trait. For example, one parent having good yield and one parent having good height. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to fertilize these two. We are going to fuse these two parent, and by this what will happen, the traits, they will get mixed here and we will get the recombinants. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the artificial is what? Something done by the man-made. Okay, or hybridization means to fuse something, and due to this fusion what we will get it here, we will get the hybrids. Hybrids are what? The progeny which are more superior to their either parents. Okay, for example, this is parent 1 and this is the parent 2, and this F1 will be the more good as compared to both P1 as well as P2. Right, so hybrids are what? They are more vigor in nature as compared to their parents, and we want these hybrids for what? To get the superior variety. Okay, in case whenever we are talking about the plants, so what we need that variety which is going to yield more and more, and this is the desirable trait for the human beings. Okay, so how this hybridization is going to happen? So here we will understand that what is this artificial hybridization and how it will take place. Okay, here I have drawn one flower in which we have shown this is the female structure. Okay, this is the female structure. If I will draw the male one, that is the male reproductive structure here only, so how can I draw it? This is the male part, this is what? This is the male part. They are bearing the anthers, and this is the filament, and inside this anther there will be formation of pollen grains. Okay, and the flower will remain same. So this is the bisexual flower. So in case of bisexual, if I have to go for the hybridization in bisexual flower, there will be some more tasks. Okay, if I will talk about the hybridization of unisexual flower, it will be more easier. Why? Because in your textbook what is given? There are only 3 steps or the 2 steps, that is the emasculation, then bagging, then tagging. Okay, that much is there. But exactly what we are doing in case of artificial hybridization, first of all we are covering this one, we are covering this structure. Why we are covering this covering? It is known as what? It is known as the bagging. Why bagging? Because we are preventing that no other pollen can enter into this stigma. Okay, so we are preventing the natural pollination and we are going for the artificial pollination. Means that we will collect the pollen grains from our desired plant and we are going to dust here in this stigma. Okay, so first of all what we are doing, we are going for the bagging to prevent the natural pollination. Then after it, what we are going to do, we are going to emasculation. Emasculation we are doing in which cases? In case of bisexual flower, because it contains both the male as well as female in the same flower. So what we are doing here, we are cutting down this male part. Okay, once we have cut it down this male part, there is only the female part. Okay, so we have removed these anthers. So emasculation is what? Removal of anthers from the bisexual flower. Okay, now it will become only the female flower. It means this is the female parent, and what we are going to do, we are taking the pollen grains from the anthers of any other flower. Okay, so what will happen, we will see it here that what is the timing of the dehiscence of these anther, and from here pollen grain will reach and we will pluck this flower, and after plucking this flower, what we are going to do, we are going to dust this pollen grain into the stigma of this female flower. Okay, so because it will become the parental line, and what type of parental line it will become? Female parental line, and this is the male one which we have taken from any other flower. Okay, so now what will happen, we will remove this bag and we have done the emasculation also. Then in the third step what we are doing, we are dusting the pollen grains. Okay, so what will happen, dusting of pollen. Okay, the third one is what? Pollen dusting, or you can say pollen dusting or the dusting of pollen. Once the pollen has been dusted here, what will happen? There will be germination. Okay, again there will be pollen crystal interaction, and due to this what will happen? There will be fusion of gametes. Okay, what will happen? Fusion of gametes, and again what we will do it here? We will go for the rebagging. Okay, we will go for the rebagging, and after rebagging we will tag this plant. Okay, we will tag this plant. So these are the 5 different steps for any artificial hybridization in case of bisexual flower. And why we are tagging here, we will mention the date, on which date we have pollinated this flower. Okay, and what is the name of that variety, from where we have taken the pollen grain. So every detail is given in this tag. Okay, that's why this is important here. So these are the 5 different steps. But if I will talk about the unisexual flower, okay, if I will talk about the unisexual flower, it means that it is having only one reproductive unit. Either it is a male one as well as the female one. Example, in case of cucumber. In case of cucumber, what is happening? That in the same plant we are having the male as well as female also. But we can go for the cross pollination. Okay, we can take the pollen grain from any other plant. So here in case of unisexual flower, there is no need of emasculation. Why? Because it is not having any male part. So directly what we are doing, we are bagging it. Okay, before the pollination or before the natural pollination, and we will take the pollen grain and we are going to dust it here, and then again we are covering it and we are going to tag it. Okay, so this is the whole process of the artificial hybridization. Okay, so what we are doing, we are crossing the different species or the different genera here to combine the desired. Why we are going for the artificial hybridization? To combine the different character which is present in 2 different plants. Okay, one parent is going to give more yield and one is giving for the less yield, but the more yielding plant, it is having the short height. Okay, so there are some chances of improvement, and this improvement we can do by this artificial hybridization. Okay, now what is the use of this artificial hybridization? We are getting the high variety of seeds, okay, or the high variety of progeny. So we are using this technique for the crop improvement program. What is the crop improvement program? In which we are going to improve the variety and we are exploiting these superior variety for the farmers use. Okay, so that's why this artificial hybridization is going to very important. Okay, now we will understand that after entering into the embryo sac, what is going to happen. So here we will understand the fertilization. We will understand that what is the double fertilization. So why we are calling it double fertilization? We know that we are having three events: pre-fertilization event, in which we have formed the gametes, transfer the gametes, then we have done post-pollination, okay, in which we have done about the pollen pistil interaction, and when there will be pollen pistil interaction, there will be growth of pollen tube, and that pollen tube will reach towards the ovule, and from the ovule it will enter into the embryo sac. Okay, so here we have used the term fertilization, we have used the term double fertilization because the fertilization will take 2 times. Okay, why? Because we are having 2 male nuclei. Okay, so if I will draw the structure of this embryo sac, I have not drawn the integuments. Why? Because we have done that this embryo sac is covered by the integuments. Okay, and at this micropylar end these integuments are absent, and through which what will happen, the pollen tube will enter inside this embryo sac, and in this embryo sac we are having the egg apparatus. These egg apparatus consist of 3 types of cells. What are they? These two, they are known as the synergids here. These are known as synergids, and this one is the egg cell. What it is? It is the egg cell. Now, and here you can see that some filiform apparatus are there. The importance of filiform apparatus to guide the pollen tube to enter in through this part. Okay, so here at the center of this one we have formed the secondary nucleus. Okay, this is what is a secondary nucleus after the fusion of these two polar nuclei. So what it is? It is the polar nuclei. Okay, these are known as polar nuclei, which is what? It is diploid. Why? Because once pollen tube will reach it here, what will happen? That these antipodal cells will get degenerated, but here this polar nuclei will get fused. Okay, and here you can see antipodal cells are there, which is present at the chalazial end. Okay, and these cells, they are known as the antipodal cells. I can draw it like this. Okay, these are the antipodal cells. So there is no such role of these antipodal cells, but there is a role of the synergid, and both they are forming what? They are forming the egg apparatus. Okay, so once the pollen tube, it will reach it here. Once the pollen tube, it will reach here through the micropylar, and I have said it is having 3 nuclei. What are they? At the center there will be tube nucleus, and backwardly there are the 2 male nuclei. Okay, so as it will move towards this synergids. So it will enter into the cytoplasm of the synergid, and this tube nucleus will get burst out, or it will get degenerated. Now this tube, there is a turn to enter of these 2 male nuclei. Okay, these 2 male nuclei is present where? In the synergid cells. Okay, from here what will happen? First it will move towards this polar nuclei. Make sure firstly there will be no fertilization. Okay, there will be no fertilization. What is going to happen? That fertilization takes place with the polar nuclei. It will not fertilize with the egg cell. Why it is so? Because we know that when it will combine, when this one of the nuclei, it will combine. I am writing here male nucleus. Now it is singular one. Male nucleus, what is it is going to form? It is going to form zygote. Okay, and this it is not going to form zygote. What is happening? It will form the PEN. What is it? Primary endosperm nucleus, and this is having the haploid level 3N. Why? Because already it is 2N, and when we are combining one more N, it will form the triploid. Okay, it is what? Triploid. So what is the role of this PEN? PEN is what? It is a primary endosperm nucleus, and role of endosperm is what? To provide the nourishment to the growing embryo. Okay, so what is it? primary endosperm nucleus. So this endosperm is going to provide nutrition to the zygote, or afterward it will form the embryo, and it is providing more and nutrition. So that's why before forming the zygote, it is trying to form the nourishment. Once the nourishment has been done, then there will be formation of zygote. Okay, so here PEN has been formed. Now what will happen? The rest of the this one will reach it here. Okay, so one of the male nucleus, it will move here also. Okay, it will move here also. Now what will happen? When it will combine with the X cell. X cell is what? Haploid. Okay, so when this male nucleus will combine the another male nucleus, it will combine with this X cell. What it will form? It will form the zygote, and this exactly is, it is what? It is the fertilization. Okay, and the fertilization takes place 2 times. That's why we are saying double fertilization. And if I will talk about the specific term for this part, it is what? It is known as syngamy. What it is happening? Syngamy. Syn means to marriage. So what is happening? There will be marriage of 2 gametes here. So due to this, there will be formation of zygote. And here what is happening? It is known as triple fusion. Okay, it is known as triple fusion. Why? Because 2n plus 3 it is forming the 3n, right? So double fertilization is what? 2 times fertilization will take place, and it is a combination of syngamy plus triple fusion. Okay, so that much is there in case of the double fertilization, and it takes place only in case of flowering plants. If I will talk about the humans or the animals, there will be only fertilization. Okay, there will be no such term of double fertilization. So here what is happening? One male gamete combined with the X cell, and it will form the zygote, and it is known as the syngamy. And another male gamete, it will combine with the center 2 polar nuclei, so it will form PEN, primary endosperm nucleation, and known as a triple fusion. And what is double fertilization? Combination of these 2 things here. Okay, and this pollen tube, they will enter, and they will enter the 2 male gametes where into the cytoplasm of the synergist. We have completed this thing. Okay, so here we have completed the second event of the sexual reproduction, that is the fertilization event. So in the next class we will talk about the post fertilization event. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.